Okay, everyone. Hey, it's me, Buster Green, and I'm coming to you live from the beautiful moonlit city of Granada on the moon. I think I'm living here now. All right, so after episode 7 of G-Quuux, my hype was at an all-time high, and we're finally getting out of side 6, only to be fairly deflated with a big lore drop that the next episode would be the rest of the beginning movie that I've already seen back in February, and I was pretty disappointed about that. Unless they planned on padding it out with any new content, otherwise I was very disappointed this week, thinking I was going to get a nothing burger at this point, unless they better flesh out Sale of Masses role in the story either now or later. Anyway, before we get into episode 8, let's do reaction roundup for episode 7 because that was a pretty fun week last week. All right, so here's the big rankings of what popped out the most on the internet from episode 7. At the bottom of the barrel was Xavier's Gyan, which everyone loved with its absurd rocket lance thing. And I think people were otherwise very impressed that this is our first finished Gyan we've ever seen, other than the unloved prototype Gyan Mikube rocked in the original series. So yeah, this is the finalized, upgraded, beautiful monstrosity that Xavier now has. And even if I never see this thing again, the model kit is selling like hotcakes. Next up after that was Bass. Bass wasn't even in episode 7, but there was still enough hype around him to propel him high up on the list above Xavier, with a few people making fun of how he probably would have lost his shit over the Psycho Gundam exploding, but then a few people were also like, hey, leave the bank man alone, his kids are dead. He's probably so sad about that. Honestly, yeah, this comic depresses me about Bass. Next on the list was Mian, with various people realizing that now out of nowhere she's seemingly the big series bad, although meme-wise they just put her in a series of silly outfits, like here's her as Suzaku from Go Geass, here's her as the Prince of Darkness from Nadesco, and here's her randomly as Lala because the meme was she was Lala all along. Shuji was next on the ranking, with a few people guessing where he went, with the only joke answer being he went to the Red Room, of course, from Twin Peaks, and many people wondering how he was doing and joking that Char was talking to him all along from the Gundam, and the Char in the Gundam was actually the creepy Char that was from the bad PlayStation game. Coming in at third place was Machu, most people making fun of that she's now a fugitive and that she ruined her relationship with her mother, seemingly having that classic weird workaholic father-son falling out cliche, except played with a mother and a daughter. We also get this funny enough comic where Ghoul phases through the universe to stop her, and we got artwork of her confrontation with Anki drawn in the classic Gundam style. A few other people are just super excited to see her teaming up with Shally and joining Zeon, and drew her in various Zeon outfits, while others were amused that she's locked up in jail like Amuro. Haha. In second place this week was Duke's Murasamoon, because Duke's means 2, of course. So yeah, although the Psycho Gundam was also kind of huge, and I kind of looped them together. So Mimi here was wishing that the end credits were Gates and Dukes instead of Machu and Nyan. We got a few more air conditioner memes for the road. Wow, air conditioner. Wonderful air conditioner. Soft, cool, refreshing air conditioner. And someone also noticed that Dukes' pilot suit seems to be based on a 1986 Soviet Union woman's muscle suit from that bizarre Rocky IV era of the Soviet Union where they decide that they would overemphasize muscle women. We also got one meme pointing out that the Psycho Gundam was just way too similar to the Warrior of Light from Nausicaa. Anyway, back to a serious discussion. We got drops from the directors here that the amazingly good OST drop from Zeta Gundam was a call by Hideaki Anno. And otherwise, then the Japanese fan base got into a huge discussion about how this even happened. Like, we can see from the model number that the Psycho Gundam in this episode was actually the Psycho Gundam Mark II, except it's the first Psycho Gundam in this universe because I guess the black one didn't work. And then this post here spun off into a whole massive rabbit hole iceberg discussion about how the hell the Psycho Gundam even exists in UC 0085, with the Japanese community losing their collective minds as numerous people started to try and connect different puzzle pieces, different dots, try to reconstruct the mainline Psycho Gundam's construction timeline, which led to many people re-going over all this insane trivia about how the original Psycho Gundam was the combination of the development cycle of the Gundam Mark II with the perfect Zeong that the Federation captured after the One-Year War. And because the Gundam Mark II is so crucial in its DNA, that made everyone wonder, therefore, does Franklin Biden exist in this timeline? No one is completely sure about that. But anyway, leave a comment if you want me to fully depack this one, because it's a pretty long and crazy tangent that goes over the other 5 Murasame siblings, the prototype Psycho Gundam, and Miharu Ratoki, and a lot of crazy loose threads in that one. Anyway, long story short, in the end, the Japanese fanbase concluded that there's extremely strong chances that the Federation already has the Gundam Mark II in the G-Quuux timeline, made by Franklin Badan, if the Psycho Gundam therefore already exists. Lastly, with the Psycho Gundam's return and demise, people noticed that you never saw its head explode, and that is technically how 4 survived the attack on Hong Kong, leading many people to speculate that Dukes just walked away while the Bra was fighting everyone, and Dukes could theoretically come back at any time she wishes and like maybe even be on the Sodan with Machu ready to start like a new twisted relationship with her because her and Nan are enemies now. That would be pretty awesome. I hope that happens. I don't think that's going to happen unless this show gets a second season. So lastly, the winner of episode 7 this week was my man, Shalia Bull, the Grey Ghost, coming in hard with the most memes, the most love, and people just freaking out about that Kikuroga thing. No one really expected it, and it was so shocking and weird. We got this crazy art here by Dyson Max. Is this CG? Is this real? I freaking love it. And then, yeah, we got a lot of people fearing the Kikuroga, drawing like cryptozoological art of the Kikuroga, and otherwise trying to build themselves a Kikuroga out of Kit Bash parts. And yeah, beyond the Kikuroga, people were otherwise just so impressed at how fucking cool Shalia Bull was, how psyched up he and Machu are going to be best friends now, and how he's apparently so based and so cool that he wants to kill 2 horrible people in the name of intergalactic world peace. Shalia Bull is a goddamn hero. And finally, in the honorable mention section, we got a new meme of Skirako in his Chiraco because that's an ancient wordplay joke, and I'm happy people are still telling that joke. And lastly, Soletta Mercury came back pretty viral this week on news that the English translation of the What If Witch from Mercury but without sci-fi manga came out, where in this non-sci-fi universe, Soletta is an American exchange student from Alaska, causing people to forever nickname this manga series Gundam, the Witch from Alaska. Okay, so yeah, on to episode 8 now. We got some more Char Aznable action. Okay, so we're back into it, and it feels like it's the same, but it feels a tiny bit different, but I can't tell if it's truly different yet. Either way, I'm happy to see this part again. This was the climax of the movie for me, especially since the Machu episodes in the movie just cooked too slowly. Seeing the Red Gundam fight the MP-like gun cannon still seems kind of weird to me. Also, yeah, I just see a bunch of skinny red mobile suits fighting each other, and it's hard to see what's what here. So I feel like the Bra is putting up a little bit more of a fight than it did in the movie. Maybe they gave it like one new cut. That was one of my big complaints about this section. The Bra just never did anything. I still can't get over how fucking heroic Dren is depicted in this though. That's insane. It just shows that the minor difference in the narrative goes a long way, changing this fat slob loser villain into this glorious underdog who saves the world. The Zek Nova scene seems to be playing out a little bit slower. We get the whole Rose of Sharon situation again. Once again, nobody knows what that is, but it's probably Lala. I have a weird thought now seeing this again that what if Char isn't communicating with Lala, but communicating with Shuji because of some weird time travel nonsense? Maybe the 2 Zek Nova points are connected through time. That would be freaking awesome. Anyway, the episode is only half over after finishing out the beginning section. We are actually getting some new content. Oh, thank fucking God. So we get half a new episode called Falling on the Moon. This one takes place right after the last one where Nyan goes to Granada and has dinner with Cecilia, who promises her a goddamn free college education. What kid wouldn't want that? Nyan is also completely flattered that Cecilia is just not racist towards her, and that's very cool. Way to go, Cecilia, you're not racist. So yeah, we end up getting a nice situation on Granada this week. Xavier and Nyan bond over their like situation in Zeon, and we have Xavier telling the story about how these like other pilot candidates died piloting this experimental something or other, and we immediately see what the something or other is. It is the second rumored G-Quuux unit called the G-Fred. Fredberger? Okay, that's a lame name. Yeah, the design looks straight up like an EVA. It's got the green and purple going. And I can't see any Gundam history in this at all. It just looks like a fucking Evangelion. Some guy named Miguel shows up, and then Xavier has this nostalgic flashback to the time they all ate fruitcake together. Miguel and Xavier talk loudly about the G-Fred being a death trap, and then Nyan overhears this all and wonders out loud if they're trying to kill her. So Xavier then gets into the political situation on Zeon because Cecilia and Girin, they're like straight up trying to kill each other. They had this big divorce. They haven't met in person in years. And then we also get huge shocking news, the best shocking news of the episode, that Girin is developing clone cyber new types. Holy shit, Glemmy and Peru are coming, folks. Peru. Oh my God, please don't end this show in 4 episodes. I want Peru back. I want to see what Peru is doing in this universe. Anyway, Nyan finds the most interesting part of Xavier's story, the fruitcake, for some reason, because she's a damn poor, hungry cinnamon roll who just wants some food. Then Miguel calls Nyan up and decides to give some cake to her. The hell? Nyan then realizes that the cake is obviously poisoned, and Miguel has been the one poisoning all the pilots with his fucked up poison cake for some fucked up reason. So apparently Miguel is a spy from the Giran faction who's been killing his friends to keep them from becoming something called a Diablo. A Diablo just seems to be a natural new type as far as I can piece it together. Nyan runs up to the G-Fred because there's lunar gravity and has some weird I love Cassilia moment. This mobile suit looks just like Cassilia. Lol, no it doesn't. Nyan is also instantly able to control the G-Fred's funnels and uses them to vaporize Miguel on the spot, instantly like deleting him from existence. Now, I'm not sure how much I buy it because it means that either the G-Fred has like this crazy sensitive Psychomu system, and that seems like a massive double-edged weakness because that would mean that anyone in the vicinity could just use the Psychomu to make the mobile suit go berserk like that. But then again, if the Rose of Sharon actually is Lala, then that really does track with how Char died. If all these Gundams just have these like completely like unprotected like open access Psychomu systems. So yeah, Cassilia remains extremely impressed by Nyan able to do all that, and then realizes that her manservant is also a spy who leaked the information to Miguel. And then the spy says that the solar ray Cassilia is building will obviously cause a global genocide, so Cassilia shoots him on the spot. Okay, so then this episode ends in a completely crazy MCU final twist that like makes the whole episode like completely worth watching. Cassilia still believes in Char after all these years, which is ironic because otherwise Char was going to kill her. Then we go to the spaceport. Departure arrival board is going insane. We got like Green Noah from Zeta. We got like Shangri-La from Double Zeta. We got like Londinian from CCA. We got like so many like callouts here. The Easter eggs are insane right now. Anyway, we see two mysterious people who seem to be having a bizarre conversation about the Rose of Sharon, the Gundam Fred, and the Yomaganthos Solar Ray project. And they mentioned that the budget has gone up. And I want to say there's like a 20% chance that the guy with the slightly too long bangs is either Char or Glemmy Toto. I was really leaning on that it's Glemmy after the whole Glemmy Easter egg earlier, but apparently he has the same VA as the new Char. So there's a very low chance he's Quattro Vagina or some other new like personality that Char came up with. Then we go back to Nyan and Xavier, who get a quick phone call from the Sodon, maybe Komali, that Machu escaped with the G-Quuux and is like hurling through the atmosphere at this moment, which is apparently the next episode. We're going to see a whole story about how Machu did that and what Machu did afterwards. So yeah, the G-Quuux is entering the atmosphere on its own because Gundams just do that. And then Nyan realizes that she can't see the Earth from the dark side of the moon. And we also see that Salmon is still orbiting the dark side of the moon. And I also need to point out that there was a mysterious line here that Cassilia isn't interested in Nyan as a pilot. She's interested in Nyan as causing a Zeknova. So for whatever reason, Cassilia wants a Zeknova, but I have no idea what she plans to do with it, or if she even fully realizes what it is. I'm also starting to realize at this point myself that a Zeknova doesn't seem to be an explosion. It seems to be more of a teleportation. And now, as I'm realizing that, I'm wondering, like, the big round ball of Solomon that's been deleted, that has to have like ended up somewhere. So where the hell did it end up? That's mysterious. Anyway, before I can even process all that, the next episode looks to be absolutely insane. It's got Machu running wild on Earth, and it looks like the person texting Machu and controlling Haru is finally going to be revealed to maybe be Lala soon. Okay, there's so many ways this could go wrong. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't Lala, but okay, the next episode preview seems to be showing Lala, but despite that, Lala could still be dead. But holy shit, that's a lot. Okay, breaking news update from Twitter. Also, apparently in a frame-by-frame breakdown, in the split second where Char is stopped from killing Sayla, Lala appears in his new type flash. That's crazy. Was that in the movie? Did they just add that? Anyway, people could only notice it on a frame-by-frame breakdown, so that's insane. Okay, so this was a really weird episode. I'm not done talking yet. There's still a few things I want to like go over and like post. Since this episode was short, I am going to take a second and wrap up where we're at today, and there's some big mysteries in play with the Solar Ray and Lala now. Now, there's been something a discussion of how the resources are split up in the modern-day Principality of Zeon, with Dozel being dead, Garma being uninterested in politics, likely Degwin has seemingly stepped down from power and retired, and probably due to old age, he's still alive. But meanwhile, it seems like Cassilia is controlling the moon. It seems like she has like some connections to like colonies like Side 6 that are cool with her, while Giran rules from a Bawaku in Side 3 with an iron fist and is probably doing the whole Hitler thing. All right, so the big looming threat is Zeon's solar ray, the Yomagantho. And I have to clarify that Grips and the Zeon solar ray are not the same thing despite being the same idea. Zeon's solar ray was apparently poorly and hastily constructed under a week out of the Mahal colony, and Giran used it once to kill his father for genocide and like to take out the Fetis, and then like I think it blew up or something. Whereas Grips was constructed by the Titans after the fact from one of Green Nova's abandoned colonies and mostly used as a deterrent. Now the Yomagantho thing that's coming in G-Quuux, I think it's the original solar ray that Giran constructed in 0079 out of Mahal. But because Zeon won the war in this timeline, I guess it never happened in like December in like the 1 year war timeline. So instead it's happening now, 5 years later. I don't think there's going to be any big crazy twist with it outside of Giran and Cassilia being at huge odds with each other over who's going to use it first to commit a Hitler. I will say Giran using the solar ray to kill their dad was one of the final straws that got Cassilia to kill Giran in the original series. So possibly that still might play out. Maybe Giran will fire it off and like Cassilia will kill him after the fact. Or maybe Shalia Bull will somehow kill them both. Meanwhile, we also have Lala back in place. Okay, so if Lala soon is alive and well, thank God, that's crazy because Lala has never been alive that long and has only formed a very limited role in like pushing Amuro Char to like go at each other like dogs. But if she's alive and she's controlling Haru, that clears up some big mysteries about G-Quuux. But I still wonder if G-Quuux is actually coming full circle back to Char, Lala, and Amuro all being alive and like doing weird convoluted things, but all coming back together at the end. I do also want to mention this fan theory that's floating around that Lala is actually a multi-dimensional, interdimensional, multiversal being, which is kind of insane. It's loosely based on the way Gundam Unicorn ended, where she was just like this all-powerful ghost, and this weird subsequent theory from Evangelion where Kaworu from Evangelion remembers every single time he died in an alternate universe, including alternate universes that are previous versions of the Evangelion anime and video games and all that, whatever. Now, seemingly maybe Lala could have the same ability, and if that were the case, therefore the Lala we're seeing in G-Quuux is actually the ghosts of the Lala that died in the original timeline. But that's not necessarily the case. Lala could have still died in another way and still become a ghost. But seeing as the next episode shows her alive and well and living as a Gothic Lolita, living her best life on Earth, maybe none of that really matters. But I guess it still begs some important questions for the timeline about who Lala is now, what relationship she'll have with Machu, and how exactly did the timeline play out if she was never a new type test subject and never Shaw's girlfriend. So let me know what you think about this one. Who's the guy at the end? Is it Char? Is it Glemmy? I think I'm going to stay with Nan on Granada for a bit, but otherwise I'm going to go get some dinner, everybody, because I'm starving and now I kind of want some fruitcake. All right, have a good week, everybody. Later.